noticing that before effort ever appears, before goals or plans or discipline, there is an image of who you believe yourself to be quietly guiding your behavior. And today, you are turning directly toward that image, not to force motivation, but to let action arise naturally from identity. You do not have to summon willpower here. You are allowing alignment to do the work. As you listen, recognize that motivation becomes strained only when behavior is disconnected from self-concept, and when who you believe you are matches what you do. Action feels simple, almost obvious. Let this understanding settle as the foundation of this session. Allow awareness to soften and widen, sensing that your mind and body are receptive, already primed by the work you have done so far. Hypnosis here is not about pushing you forward. It is about removing the friction that once made movement feel heavy. Begin by noticing how you think about yourself when you imagine taking positive action, completing something meaningful, or showing up consistently. Do not correct these thoughts. Simply observe the language, tone, and assumptions embedded within them. These assumptions are the invisible drivers of behavior. Now gently bring into awareness the identity you have been shaping, not as an aspiration, but as an emerging reality. Sense yourself as someone who follows through, someone who acts with intention, someone who responds rather than delays. Notice how this feels in the body. Identity is embodied before it is articulated. As hypnosis deepens, recognize that the brain seeks coherence. When behavior aligns with identity, dopamine flows naturally, reinforcing motivation without pressure. This is intrinsic motivation, and it is stable because it is not dependent on external reward or force. Allow the subconscious to register that acting in alignment with who you are becoming feels satisfying at a fundamental level. Now, imagine a familiar situation where procrastination or hesitation once appeared. See it clearly, but instead of seeing yourself struggling, see yourself from the inside as this aligned version of you, noticing the thought that initiates action simply because it matches who you are. There is no internal debate, no need for self-coercion. Action begins quietly. Let this image repeat gently, allowing the nervous system to rehearse ease. The subconscious learns from identity-based rehearsal. As this continues, allow empowering perceptions to take root, such as I am someone who acts, I am consistent by nature, I take care of what matters. These are not affirmations you chant, they are self-perceptions that feel increasingly accurate. Feel how the body responds to this accuracy, perhaps with steadiness or subtle forward energy. Motivation begins here, not as excitement, but as readiness. Now allow the idea from atomic habits to integrate below the surface. Every action is a vote for the type of person you believe you are. And when you identify as that person, the vote feels natural to cast. Notice the relief in this. You no longer need to convince yourself each time. The identity already holds the decision. As this realization deepens, allow the subconscious to update its role. Instead of resisting action, it now supports consistency, because consistency reinforces identity. This reversal is powerful. Feel how effort softens. As drive teaches, autonomy, mastery, and purpose fuel lasting motivation. Allow these elements to align within you now. Sense autonomy as the feeling that your actions are chosen, not forced. Sense mastery as the satisfaction of improving through practice rather than perfection. Sense purpose as the quiet knowledge that your actions matter because they express who you are. Let these qualities merge into a single felt state. This state becomes the emotional fuel for aligned action. Now imagine moving through your day with this identity active, making small, consistent choices that reflect capability and purpose. See yourself beginning tasks without drama, adjusting when needed, continuing without self-attack. Notice that motivation is present not as urgency, but as calm engagement. The nervous system recognizes that action does not threaten safety, it supports coherence. Allow this to imprint deeply. As hypnosis continues, introduce the suggestion that resilience is already part of your identity. You do not avoid difficulty, you move through it. When obstacles appear, the identity-based response is to adapt, not to retreat. Feel how this perspective changes your relationship with challenge. Challenges become signals for engagement rather than reasons for delay. Now bring awareness to the internal voice that accompanies effort. Notice how it sounds now. It is supportive, steady, forward-looking. This voice reinforces intrinsic motivation because it aligns with values and identity rather than fear. Allow the subconscious to continue adopting this tone automatically. You do not need to manage it consciously. As this integration stabilizes, notice moments of subtle pride, not ego-based pride, but the quiet satisfaction of acting in alignment. This satisfaction becomes reinforcing. The brain learns that aligned action feels good, and it seeks to repeat it. This is habit at the level of identity. Now allow a final set of perceptions to embed deeply. You are capable of sustained effort without burnout. You are purposeful without pressure. And you are resilient in the face of uncertainty. Feel these perceptions settle as facts rather than hopes. The body recognizes truth through ease. As day 7 draws toward completion, rest in the awareness that motivation now arises from who you are, not from what you force yourself to do. You act in accordance with who you believe you are, and your beliefs about yourself are now aligned with capability, purpose, and resilience. Sit for a few final moments, sensing this identity as present and active, knowing that each time you take even the smallest aligned action, this identity strengthens automatically, carrying you forward with less resistance and more flow, allowing motivation to remain effortless, natural, and sustainable as part of who you are becoming. As this session settles, allow the future to feel less like something you must chase and more like something you naturally step into. Notice how clarity now replaces pressure and how direction feels internal rather than imposed. The subconscious begins organizing behavior around this identity without requiring conscious effort, selecting actions, priorities, and responses that reflect coherence. Even rest becomes aligned, chosen wisely, without guilt, because recovery supports the identity you embody. Trust that momentum builds quietly through repetition, not force. Small actions